cholesterol is a lie.
Cholesterol is a lie.
The cholesterol problem is
right.
a lie. It could be said that some of the worst dietary advice we've been given over the past 70 years is that high cholesterol causes heart disease. To be clear, there's no such thing as good or bad cholesterol. My advice to anybody that's wanting to get into shape is to find a diet or a lifestyle change, because that the word diet is frowned upon, right?
Yeah.
That you don't hate.
But let me introduce our guest today. So this is Matt. If you guys think that I look unbelievably good today with this brand new haircut,
he always
does. This is the man that got me set up. He owns First Impressions Barbershop in Allen Park, Michigan. It's a great shop. He's a great barber. He's been doing it for a lot of years now. He's owned the shop for going on 3 years.
Going on 3 years, besides the 6 months that the government tried to own it during their...
Besides the government ownerships for 6 months. So Matt's, like I said, Matt's a killer barber. He gave me this haircut yesterday, but he has lost a ton of weight.
Yeah.
So he started a diet, or started life changes, I guess would probably be a better way to say it.
Yeah.
When did you start getting serious about, like, man, I gotta start taking care of myself?
Yeah, so it kind of all I've always struggled with weight, and my weight has fluctuated on and off forever. But I remember the heaviest I've ever got, it was before you and I met. I was over 330 pounds. I was 333 pounds. That was the highest I've ever seen the scale. But I did your typical bodybuilding, eating 6 meals a day, chicken breast, broccoli, brown rice, and, lose all the weight and then gain it all back. I'd gain it all back. But when the merge happened, when you and I met each other, I was just about 300 pounds, got back up to 300 pounds and jumped on Weight Watchers, lost a pretty good amount of weight. I think I got down to 230 or something like that. But slowly because it has happened so many times, I seen the weight going back up. I got back up to about 260, and then that's when so that was like 2018, where I seen the scale at 302, and I was
you're
like, yikes. Yeah.
And so when was that? How many years ago? Or was that recently?
2018.
Okay, so 2018, you were like, all right, we got to make some changes.
Yeah. Well, the end of 2018. I'm sorry, it was 2019, like January 2019, like literally, or it could have been, New Year's Eve or something like that, I had my New Year's resolution,
and you're like, we're going to make this happen.
Yeah.
So you found a diet that you've been very vocal about. Okay?
Yes.
Tell me about it. Tell me, how'd you find it? When'd you get into it? And we're gonna jump in, because I have questions. I have doubts. Sure. I have just a lot of questions. So tell me about the diet. What do you got going on?
Like I said, I always struggled with my weight going up and down, up and down, up and down. Well, I was listening to Jordan Peterson, who's somebody I followed for years. If you guys don't know him, he's a Canadian clinical psychologist who, I knew this guy wasn't a kook. He's brilliant, and he made some waves recently with some, stuff that is going against, it's going kind of countercultural.
Yeah.
And so he's gained some traction and got popular. That's how I come to follow him or whatever. And he was talking about his daughter, Michaela Peterson, and Michaela Peterson had rheumatoid arthritis, and the doctors said, nothing at a very young age. I'm not sure like how young they said that they couldn't help her anymore, but basically that we could manage the pain. She had an ankle replacement when she was 15, and then like a hip replacement when she was 17. But she didn't accept that answer from the doctor. So this is all coming from Jordan. And she didn't accept that answer, and then she did a process of elimination diet.
Okay.
So she really liked candy. So she started noticing when she dropped off certain candies that her body wouldn't feel as inflamed. She wouldn't feel as much pain, but she was still feeling some pain. Then she, over the course of a couple years, she switched to just greens, got all the way down. I mean, doing all these things, and then got down to just greens and meats. And she was doing really well, but still feeling a little bit inflamed. And then all of a sudden she cut the greens out. And so now she's just carnivore diet. And then she would add something back, maybe a salad. The inflammation came back and the pain. So she knew right then that her body responds best on the carnivore diet. Right now, she's just doing beef, salt, and water, which is called the lion diet. Carnivore, you can have eggs and raw dairy and things like that. But she's just doing the lion diet, beef, salt, and water. And her body responds. She's off all medications. The doctor said she'd never have kids. She's got kids. She healed herself from the carnivore diet or the lion diet. And that was something where I was like I said, Jordan Peterson, I was like, this guy's not a kook, man. This guy, it's not like he's sitting there lying to everybody.
Right.
And it was wild to me that like, even if it was just like we talked yesterday, even if that was just one person, like that should be like news, like all over, like this person healed themselves without medicine, got rid of all the medicine, from eating. So that's what started me on the carnivore diet. And I found like I had no idea like this, like realm existed, man. It's like, there's a
society, there's a community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a large community.
So Michaela, right? That's her name?
Michaela Peterson. Yeah. Or I think it's something else.
Something
She's
like
married
that,
now.
yeah. So Jordan Peterson's daughter had like an autoimmune deficiency or disease. It's called RA, right?
Yeah.
And she tried a bunch of stuff. I have friends that have RA. I actually have a lot of friends that have RA.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's just the like way that the vegetables are grown in our massive production like society where they put a bunch of crap and fertilizers and stuff? Or because I guess I'm just trying to work through like, man, if you cut out all of the vitamins that we're told that vegetables carry.
Yeah.
Like I know lettuce, I don't even view lettuce as an important vegetable because that's just water for the most part. But like things like carrots and broccoli and the vitamins that those have in them.
Broccoli isn't even that's a man-made plant. That's not like a
broccoli.
Broccoli is a man-made plant from like cross-pollination or whatever you want. That's something you can Google right now. Google that.
All right, we'll Google that we'll keep talking.
Is broccoli man-made?
Okay, I'm looking at it right now. So as we do that, so I guess that's the first question I have. So like if we went like straight from farm to table, could vegetables be different than what you buy in the store? That's the first question I was just thinking of.
Well, the first thing I would say that if you're not buying organic fruits or vegetables, you're doing it wrong, because they're all sprayed with weed killer, and you're probably going to develop cancer in the future. So buying organic fruits or vegetables. But I would say that vegetables, period, aren't necessary. You will get all your vitamins and minerals from grass-fed meat or just regular meat. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong. So
about the broccoli?
Yeah, I'm on cornell.edu right now. I was trying to find an actual credible, not just Wikipedia. So this looks semi-professional. Yeah. While there are many edible plants that can be foraged in the wild, such as asparagus, berries, onions, broccoli is not one of them. Broccoli is, in fact, a human invention. It's not known exactly how many years ago broccoli was created, but it's believed that the early varieties of this plant were cultivated in the Mediterranean region during the Roman Empire in the 6th century. After its creation 2,000 years ago, broccoli continued to be improved through artificial selections in part of what we now know as Italy. The 16th century broccoli was introduced to parts of Europe, which eventually led to cultivation in those areas. Although broccoli was brought over to the United States in the 17th century, it was not grown commercially until the 1920s.
So it's relatively new. Like 1920 isn't that long ago.
It was derived from wild cabbage. I never thought about it, but like you never go to like a broccoli picking farm. Like you go blueberry picking.
Sure.
You go carrots and cabbage. I've never even thought of that before. That blows my mind.
Yep.
We could stop this right now, and my mind would be blown. I'm going to be thinking about that for the rest of the month.
Yeah, and the thing with broccoli is I know like some people eat broccoli and it's great. My job or my agenda here isn't to get everybody to switch over to carnivore. It's it's really, I want to see people eat whole foods. So like, I've had people like out of spite, I've seen like posts on Facebook, like this fad diet, the carnivore, I'm just going to switch over to veganism to show you. And I look at that and I go, great, because you're likely to like see some benefits from that, because you're probably going to you're going to be putting down ultra processed foods, which that you're probably eating. So you'll reap some benefits on veganism. But anybody who stays a vegan will have to supplement, because you cannot get everything that your body needs from plants. It's just not possible. Most notably vitamin B12. Like, you will have to supplement that. So, but the broccoli is filled with a lot of what's called oxalates, and that causes gut inflammation. And then if you know anything about the gut, it's your gut health has a lot to do with your immune system, weight loss, and the oxalates actually block mineral and vitamin absorption. So like, if you have broccoli and chicken, people think that they're eating healthy, but like the minerals and stuff that's in your meat, the broccoli actually disrupts your body from being able to absorb that.
So that's the theory. Is that the overarching theory of the carnivore diet?
Yeah, well, that and that, you're eliminating processed sugars, carbohydrates. The carnivore diet but I'm more so animal based. So I'm still eating like what's known as the least toxic plant foods.
Okay.
Bananas, strawberries, blueberries, and I'm still, I still use some honey and maple syrup, things like that. But obviously you can't go too crazy with those things,
Sure. So the carnivore diet is this. So I looked it up. I was doing some prep, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the general rule, or I guess the general rules for the carnivore diet would be organic meats, poultry, fish, eggs, bone marrow, butter, salt, pepper, water, bone broth, and then sauces are okay. Would you say is that a fair?
I would say to avoid, depends on what sauces you're talking about.
Yeah, so they put a description there. Provided that they are only made with meat drippings mixed with butter, no binders such as flour.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and avoiding seed oils, that is like really, really key.
Why? So seed oils.
Seed oils are highly, highly inflammatory. We've been that is, that's something you'll want to get into where, a lot of people are known as conspiracy theorists, because we've been taught and told that they are an healthy alternative to butter. That butter and ghee are fat, stay away from fat, canola oil, and all these highly ultra processed seed oils are the healthy alternatives, when in fact nothing could be further from the truth. They're highly inflammatory and should be avoided at all costs.
Yeah, it's funny because, one of the I didn't tell Matt that I was going to do this, but I was just like, hey, I'm going to fact check a lot of this stuff, because, when people watch this podcast, like, it's one thing to say things, it's another thing to just kind of like just double check some things, because I want us both to learn today.
Yeah.
And like, it does look like seed oil. One of the key aspects of the seed oil debate, according to realsimple.com, seed oils are high-fat food, and they're higher in inflammatory fats. A label that we now generally understand that could be unhealthy. But these kind of fat oils, basically, they can hurt a lot of different things, a lot of scientific terms. But that's interesting. So they are an inflammatory fat. That is true. So the carnivore diet, I want to go back to that. Milk, cheeses, yogurt can also potentially be allowed. Mm-hmm. Things that are not allowed would be vegetables, fruits, seeds, nuts, breads, pastas, grains, and alcohol. All right. I mean, I guess I don't know if alcohol would be part of that or not, but that's what this website said. So let's say you go beef, salt, water. We go lion diet. Mm-hmm. The first question that I think I have and people ask is, well, doesn't the body need the nutrients found in things other than beef, salt, and water? Like, I'm not a scientist. I've been told that you eat your vegetables, you have the colorfulness on the plate, they have vitamin B, and all this crap. like vitamin C's from your oranges. You have this from this. Where
Sure.
does your body get the nutrients needed on a diet like that?
Sure. I mean, quite simply from steak. I don't have the numbers with me or anything like that, but you could pull up like steak and say kale, which kale is an absolute sham, dude. But there
So it
is-
was also man-made. There were like 4 different foods that are all derived from the mustard plant.
okay.
So broccoli, kale, and a couple other. They're derived from different parts of the mustard plant. Some are derived from the stem, some are derived from the like seeds, some are derived from the like the leaves.
Interesting.
Interesting. That's what I had on the diagram. So don't
Okay.
quote me.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I've seen charts side by side, and people think, because you're eating broccoli or kale or a salad that you're getting these nutrients that the body needs, but you can get all that from steak. And another thing that I heard from one of these doctors, because these are, please don't take my word for it. Like I follow doctors,
Yeah.
that aren't getting paid by big pharma.
Yeah.
But yeah, these, all the stuff that your body needs, you can get in a steak.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even carbohydrates, like your body doesn't need carbohydrate. Like I like carbs. So like, again, I'm doing animal based. So it's not like I'm like carb free or anything like that, but your body needs glucose and your body can make, turn animal fats into its energy source. Like your body now, like we run on carbohydrates, but your body doesn't need carbohydrates. It needs something for for it to make glucose, and it can make that out of animal fats. So your muscles, from the research that I've done, your muscles will tend to grow slower. They grow fat, if you're a bodybuilder or something like that, they'll grow faster by implementing carbohydrates. But you don't necessarily need carbohydrates. So,
Dude, yeah, this is fascinating because I think when people hear carnivore diet, they initially think like that's a scam, like that's a sham, because
Yeah.
they're like, that can't be healthy.
sure.
You see people that are like, they have eggs and bacon and steak,
Yeah.
like every male's dream
Right.
of like, bro, like that's what I want. And
Yeah.
they're like, there's no way this can be healthy. I mean, in a second, we're going to get into cholesterol.
Yeah.
Because that's the first, I guess, health risk that people are like, there's no way. My doctor says my cholesterol is high as it is.
Yeah.
He said stay away from red meats. And I wanted to make this little quick disclaimer. Like, Matt's a barber. I sell insurance.
We are not doctors.
We are not doctors. And honestly, I don't have when I have people on this podcast, there's going to be some people I agree with, some people that I'm learning from, some people I disagree with. But the cool thing, what Matt's done is he's done a lot of research for himself and his body. And like the dude's lost weight.
Yeah.
Like, how much weight have you lost since you started this program? Like started this
Well,
lifestyle?
like I said, I jumped on the Weight Watchers.
yeah, Weight
The Weight
Watchers,
Watchers lost. I got to about 230, and then I seen my weight, like it always does, creeping back up. Because I think it's important to note that, like how you just said, every man's dream, right? That is one of the most important things about the carnivore diet. Is like I'll have all these people coming up to me going, dude, your posts, man, are just, they're so inspiring, and your stick-to-itiveness, it's just so, and I'm like, dude, I eat steak and eggs and bacon. Yeah. Like it's not hard, but that is key, because that's why my weight was fluctuating, because I'm eating chicken breast and freaking broccoli and let's be honest, the bodybuilders out there, you don't like that stuff, man. That it sucks, Steak and eggs and bacon, like it doesn't. It's steak and eggs and freaking bacon.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's all so like your diet. And again, if you like my wife, Lauren, she doesn't. She's not a big meat person. So my advice to anybody that's wanting to get into shape is to find a diet or a lifestyle change. Because that the word diet is frowned upon, right?
Yeah.
That you don't hate. And I don't feel like I couldn't imagine my life a year ago without pizza in it. Because I would stick to my diet, right? And then every Saturday,
You have your cheat day.
I'd have my cheat day. I haven't had pizza. Well, I started the carnivore diet, animal-based diet, last January. So I've been on it just over a year. November, I had some pizza, and I threw up all night. So that was the last time I had. But I was,
Man,
want
exposed.
to be honest. Want to be honest.
Exposed.
Yep.
This is gonna sound really bad, but it's like, do I? Like, I love pizza. Obviously, look at me. I love pizza. I did the diet called Whole30. I don't know if you know Whole30 is. So Whole30 is basically, forgive me, I mean, I can look up the rules again, but basically it's like no sugar, no grains.
Killer, yeah.
No sugar, no grains. Let's see, Whole30. No added sugar, artificial or real, no alcohol, no grains, no beans, no dairy, no MSGs, no baked goods, and anything like that. We did 30 days of that. Worst 30 days of my life.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Yep.
I love bread. I'm a bread dude. I mean, I don't eat tons of bread, but I enjoy bread. The sugar wasn't that big of a deal, but like everything has sugar in it. Everything has sugar in it.
And seed oils.
So we had to like we're literally going through like Costco and like looking at the ingredients of everything, and
that's awesome.
It was awful. I hated it.
Yeah.
So
I'm that guy. I'm that guy now. Like, I'm pulling something off the shelf and I'm like,
I'm not. But
you're not.
So,
Okay.
so anyway, so we did that for 30 days. And then at the end of those 30 days, I went and we had like lasagna or pizza or something. And I felt like trash.
Yep.
And I promised myself I would never not eat pizza again. because I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna like this.
Yeah.
I know this is a terrible way. I'm gonna get flamed. I'm gonna get flamed for saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, dude, it was ice cream. I went to have ice cream, and I love ice cream.
Yeah.
Like, my wife. Okay, guys, so this is the ironic part about this whole conversation. I never drink these very often, but my wife just brought me a frappe from Tim Hortons today. So I'm like literally sipping on sugar.
Yeah.
As we're talking about not doing sugar, I did that on purpose. I'm scared I did. And I brought that in, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be too ironic.
I figured that drink had to come from a female.
Yeah, no, it did. It did. I do love mochas. It's my secret.
It's
flame.
sugar.
It's my secret.
You love
flame.
sugar.
I love sugar. I am a savory guy though. I could give up sugar if I could keep savory. I could. If I had a choice, like in the morning when I wake up for breakfast, I'll do steak and eggs, or I'll do bacon and eggs, or over like a bagel, like a cinnamon toast crunch bagel or something, like all day.
Yeah.
Anna would do like French toast or pancakes over
Yeah.
eggs, so that wouldn't be that hard for me. But I say that when I did Whole30, I felt fine during Whole30, like I was okay, and then. But the moment I came back to eat normal foods again, I felt like absolute trash.
You didn't have like any kind of like detox period, you feel like? A couple of days or anything?
I mean, there was a time there when my poop was completely green and I was freaking out, like bright green.
Yeah.
Like, sorry to be like TMI, but hey, we get real here.
Yeah, man.
Like, because all we ate was lettuce and vegetables.
Yeah.
And like chicken.
Sucks.
And we couldn't, I think part of Whole30 is no red meat.
Oh.
I'm not sure if that's true. I know I could be lying, but I know we did a lot of chicken.
Yeah, because I think it's just whole food. Like,
Yeah, it could
Whole
just be, we
Foods.
could do red meat. Yeah, but we did a lot of chicken, a lot of salads, a lot of vegetables, no fruit, none. Zero sugar. So even sugar and fruit, none.
Yeah.
And it was, I remember like literally like going to the bathroom once and just being like, bro, it was like a highlighter, a green highlighter. I was like, dude, this does not look natural.
That's wild.
So that was probably the detox of just everything that was just my body freaking out.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I know Jordan Peterson was talking. He had the same kind of experience. He could have been on it for a year. I'm not really sure, but the story he tells is he's on the carnivore diet, and he goes to it's like the fall, and he goes to apple picking or pumpkin patch or something like that. Has apple cider and donuts, and maybe he didn't have donuts, but it was definitely apple cider, and he said it landed him in bed for like 3-4 days. So there's kind of similar to your body building up immunity to some virus or some sickness or something, right? Like your body, when it's eating heavily processed foods, builds up an immunity to it, and once you cut it out and then try to go back to it, you lost that immunity. So again, I'm not a doctor.
But why would I want to lose that immunity?
Because you're gonna feel better.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's such a cliche, right, to say, I've never felt this good in my life. But I can look you dead in the face and tell you that I'll be 40 years old in August, And I remember being 22, 23 years old, and I can pull up pictures. I was a fat slob, and I've never felt this good in my life.
Well, let's do that. If you could you send me pictures? Because if you send me pictures, I'll pull them up and post. So
Oh, sure, yeah.
we'll be looking at pictures right now, and even if you can pull them up now, and we can kind of react to those pictures now on your phone or something, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to see, and we'll show you guys too, but I'd love to see the difference of 23-year-old Matt versus, dude, you're pushing 40. Can we like pause on that for a second? You're looking dang good.
Thank you.
You're looking dang good for a dude pushing 40.
Thank you.
I would have guessed like 19, but
My man.
my man.
My man.
My man. So, all right. So here, let me read this real quick, guys, as you pull those up. So one of the interesting things that I heard about the carnivore diet is entering the state of ketosis. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is the state of ketosis? This is a doctor named Schmidt. In the state of ketosis, your body is burning fat or fuel rather than carbohydrates. This is not a guarantee, though. It's basically a misconception, blah, blah, blah. But in excess, protein can lead to increase in blood sugar and insulin levels and kick out your ketosis. So basically, if ketosis is your goal, having some fat with your protein, for example, eggs, butter, and cheese may help. Bear in mind that these additions may not have a greater impact on your health otherwise, right? So they're putting their little asterisks there for safes. But basically, ketosis, what it really is instead of your body burning carbs, it burns bad fat. So like just by existing, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yep.
Oh, here, I'm going to put on the screen right now for you guys to see. Oh my heavens. So when was the first
those first two were just like I said, like 2018. That was at a softball field.
This was 5 years ago.
Yeah, in the middle.
Bro, I don't recognize you.
Yep. And then the other
first one?
Yeah, the first one wasn't too long. You know, I think that was 2017 or something like that. I was on a house call doing a haircut because I used to do the traveling.
Yeah.
Barbering. Yep. But that's your heavily processed.
And then when was this picture?
That was this past summer.
Jeez.
Yep.
Would you say you've gotten even more tone since this past summer? Or about the same?
I would say I think now I put on a little bit more size since then.
Okay.
Because I had a fight not too long long after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had a kickboxing match.
Oh, cool.
And I made 205. And right now I just checked the weight. I'm at 230, but I have like multiple people coming up to me telling me, you know, hey, you lost some more weight or whatnot. And I'm like, no, I actually put on some weight. So
how heavy were you in those pictures?
300.
And you lost 70 pounds.
Yep.
So how much of your weight loss has started since you started doing the carnivore diet, and how much did it start when you started doing like Weight Watchers and stuff like that?
So I got back up. I lost a bunch of weight, got down to 230. And then I got back up to 260 because I fell off, you know, it just sucks doing the
inputting all
Weight
that stuff.
Weight Watchers, yeah, it sucks doing all that. So I got back up to 260, and then I got back down for my flight as at 205. But now I'm sitting around between 220 and 230 now.
So 30 pounds.
30 pounds, yep.
Carnivore diet.
Yep. But I would add though that like I put on way more muscle.
Yeah, no, you can see, and because
Yeah.
you were training for a fight, you're working out at the same time.
Yeah.
Like I know neither of us are preaching that this diet will just, shred without work on the back end.
Right.
No diet's going to do that, but you mix, this is what people say. This is what a lot of the articles I've read is like, you could have the perfect diet, but if you don't have physical exercise to match that, you're not going to see the full results of what it could be.
Yeah, you definitely won't see the full results. I would say though that like you cannot out-train a bad diet. If you eat right and you eat whole foods and you don't overeat, you're eating the right foods, you will lose weight. You'll lose weight for sure. But you're not gonna, put on muscle or anything. If you're not doing some kind of resistance training.
So what in your research have you said to the people that say, okay, health risks, right? Like there can be downsides to the carnivore diet. Like humans are omnivores. We derive nutrients from a variety of foods, both animal and plant-based products. We're not like, carnivores. We're we're omnivores. So if we exclusively get rid of one food group that's important for human life, this is the argument. How could somebody remain healthy? So we're going to bring it up now. We talk about cholesterol, and keep in mind, I know you're not a doctor, so I'm not going to force you. But these are questions people have, and I know these are questions that you've wrestled with, and been like, I know this is a risk. I'm willing to do this, whatever.
Yeah.
So plus a high diet and red and processed meats can be linked to potentially higher blood pressure, could be linked to higher cholesterol.
Yeah.
Where in your research did you land on being like, dude, screw it, I'm still going to try this?
I feel like I got to say it again, even though you said it twice. I'm not a doctor. Okay. But
we should wear t-shirts.
Yeah, we're
I'm
not.
not a doctor.
Hey, we're not doctors, but from my research of cholesterol, I will tell you, in my opinion, from other doctors that I follow, that's not being paid by Big Pharma, cholesterol is a lie. Okay. Cholesterol is an anti-inflammatory that men need to build muscle and to build testosterone.
So say that one more time. Cholesterol is a lie.
The cholesterol problem is
right.
a lie. And I'll read some, because I wasn't going to be able to memorize all this for you,
please.
so I'm just going to read this for you. It says, many people fear saturated fat and cholesterol while embracing a low-fat diet, industrial seed oils, and statins instead, with the hope to lower cholesterol and prevent heart disease. Yet, according to the WHO, World Health Organization 2020, we still see heart disease as the leading cause of death globally by far, with 16% of total deaths. Since 2000, the largest increase in deaths has been for this disease. Unfortunately, cholesterol research has a checkered past, filled with research bias, crude scientific literacy, and industry influence. Ansel Keys formed his biased diet heart hypothesis linking saturated fat to cholesterol levels to cardiovascular problems. The connection between cholesterol and heart disease is based on correlation, not causation. Dietary recommendations are based on incomplete evidence and industry influence. In fact, it could be said that some of the worst dietary advice we've been given over the past 70 years is that high cholesterol causes heart disease. To be clear, there's no such thing as good or bad cholesterol. HDL and LDL, high and low density lipoprotein, are not actually cholesterol, but the transporters for cholesterol to travel through the blood. LDL and HDL both serve important purposes when our metabolism is healthy. Basically, LDL carries fresh cholesterol to where it's needed in the body, and HDL carries recycled cholesterol to the liver to be released from the body. Cholesterol, in a way, is a healing compound. If the body is inflamed, cholesterol will be high to help repair it. And when the issue has been resolved, cholesterol will naturally drop on its own. It's not the fault of the cholesterol for being at the site of inflammation in the arteries, etc. It's merely there to help clean up the oxidative stress. However, if there is a chronic metabolic disease constantly causing inflammation, the cholesterol will obviously stay high. It's only oxidized LDL cholesterol, or what builds up in the artery walls, that could potentially cause a problem. And this is linked to chronic inflammation in the body. What's interesting is that so-called heart-healthy vegetable oils, processed foods, alcohol, artificial sweeteners, and medications, which are all part of our standard modern diet, are all incredibly inflammatory.
So basically the argument is that cholesterol necessarily isn't like a high, the question isn't whether it's high or low. The question is that we need cholesterol.
Yeah.
And
your body naturally creates it.
Yeah. And if it's high, it means it's because it's fighting something or your body's inflamed.
Yeah. It basically, if you picture like these buildings on fire over here,
yeah, and
the fire department shows up and puts the fire out, it's like the cops showing up saying, hey man, this water caused the fire. And it's like, no man, the water's here because it's helped put the fire out. And that's what cholesterol has done. It's at the scene of the crime, and it's been getting blamed but it's only there to help. That's not the root of the problem. The root of the problem is processed sugars, seed oils. These are the things that are building up in people's arteries.
So I think the question that if anything, what this conversation does for anyone listening is to just teach people to go and do research for themselves.
Yep.
And where you land is where you land. I think the first thing, like, to I guess go through that and think through that and digest that, pun intended, digest that, would be. But if your cholesterol is tied to trying to help you out, then why does it fluctuate based on what you eat? Like, why is there a direct correlation to what you eat? If you said that, like, your cholesterol is there on the scene, if, like, let's say you're inflamed, right? That's what the article was saying. Well, then are you inflamed because you're eating just red meats? Are you inflamed? Like, why is that inflammatory thing going up based off of what you eat, if that makes sense? I think that's my question.
Yeah.
That would be the next research step would be, I would be curious on that.
Yeah. I would say from the research that I've done, why cholesterol is so high is because the root cause is the eating of the processed sugars, processed sugars, seed oils. These are the things that are being built up, clogging up arteries, and that's where the cholesterol rises to help repair it. But also, somebody who's just physically active, because your body will be inflamed.
Yeah.
Like your knee joints and stuff like that, and the cholesterol will naturally rise to help fight that. Help fight that too.
Yeah, I think an interesting study for me would be, like, if, let's say, you had the control, and the control was person eats no red meat, because people say, like, eggs, bacon, red meats are, like, high cholesterol foods. And so when you go to the doctor, they're like, hey, you might want to cut back on the red meat. You want to cut back because your cholesterol's high. That's what they tell you. I'd be interested to see if there was a study where you had, like, a vegetarian not working out. So at the start of the trial, or whatever you want to call it, they weren't working out. They maintained their diet of vegetables only, and then they started working out and repairing their body. Their body becomes inflamed. I would love to see a study that's, like, showed their cholesterol rising without a change in their diet based off of the inflammatory needs of their body. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now that, if there was a study there, to me, that proves his point. Because it's if the point is cholesterol shows up because, hey, we're here to fix your body, we're here on the scene.
Yeah.
You should be able to see spikes and decreases in cholesterol, regardless of what you eat, right?
Yeah.
That's the theory.
Right.
And I would love if like to do research and see if there's some sort of study that proves that cholesterol goes up and down, like, regardless of what you eat.
Sure. Yeah. And I think another important thing to mention too is, again, this is from a doctor. 75% of the brain's weight is made up of something called myelin. And so when somebody gets Alzheimer's disease, dementia, what is happening is that is kind of deteriorating in the brain, and then your brain kind of the nerves get all tangled, and you short circuit, and they short circuit, and you don't remember who you are anymore. That myelin, that part of your brain that makes up 75% of the brain weight, is 100% cholesterol. So like these low fat diets that people are going on is actually like making their brains horrible as they get older. Think about, you're about to have a baby, right?
My wife is, to be clear. I look like I'm about ready to have a baby.
What they're going to tell you, what's the thing they're going to tell you to eat? The most important thing to feed that baby.
What, milk?
Specifically.
Yeah. Milk or what?
Specifically breast milk.
Yeah.
Breast milk is loaded with saturated fat.
Right.
For why? For brain development for the baby. So like,
well, yeah, it's like, why are they changing their story from being a baby to later?
So why are we telling people to not continue to eat saturated fat? Literally, our brains are made up of 60% fat. Half of that is saturated fats. It is crucial for brain development, and people are getting Alzheimer's. I would argue, not just me, but other doctors would argue it's because they're not eating enough fat.
Yeah, and what we're gonna do, guys,
Cholesterol.
because I knew this was gonna be fun because Matt's done a lot of research in this, and I'll include a lot of the papers and a lot of the articles that Matt will share with me. I'll include some of those links in the description, just so people can kind of get an idea of where you're pulling some information from. Because I bet there's a lot of people that want to find maybe a little bit more unbiased view on things, and so we'll share a couple of these things in the description so you can kind of read for yourself and where Matt's getting this information. To be honest with you, I've made it a point not to get political on the podcast, and I do know.
You want to talk about liberals? No, I'm just kidding.
No, we're not gonna have YouTube demonetize a channel that's already not making money. I want to make money first before we go there.
I already talked about I'm pro eating meat. YouTube's already kicking you off.
They're gonna kick me. I hope
Eat
not.
bugs or die, peasants.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I don't want to go down the path of heavy conspiracy. I mean, we can talk about that on your podcast when you start that.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I know that we can go on a bunch of tangents with COVID and government and that kind of stuff. But I do know this. This is my gut talking. Is it seems to be in any type of American politics or politics across the world, wherever the money is, that's where people follow. So if you can. And this is just, in my opinion, YouTube, so don't kill me for this.
Yeah.
But if you can poison people, you're going to create the need for healthcare, and you're going to fill the hospitals, and you're going to fill, and it makes sense to create an ecosystem of unhealthy people.
Yeah.
It would make sense for the FDA to allow things through that they know isn't healthy.
Yep. Creating customers.
You're creating customers.
Yep.
I mean, my wife and I are really looking through vaccines for the kid, and I'm not going to get into that right now.
Oh boy.
We're not jumping into that, but I will say, after doing a lot of research, there are a couple of them that I'm like, man, that might not be helpful.
Yeah.
But even though when you go see the doctor, they're like, you have to get this. I mean, they're telling infants now that infants should get COVID shots.
Yeah,
and I'm like, dude, no, that's not happening.
Wild.
But I say all that to say, I'm encouraging everyone listening or watching to do your own research, in everything. Don't blindly go into doctors' offices. Don't blindly go into, even with your investments. I mean, we can talk to money, right?
Yeah.
In the same way, you shouldn't just blindly follow your financial advisor.
Right.
You would want to fact check your financial advisor. If your financial advisor says, hey, I want 100% of your money to go into Bitcoin, you'd be like, ooh, that's weird. I'm going to fact check my financial advisor, but for some reason we don't fact check our doctors.
Right.
And I'm that guy, even between me and my wife, my bent is to say, hey, the doctors know. That's my bent, to just be trust the doctors. They've had the training. I'm just a stupid little, guy. Don't question them.
Yeah. I imagine that same logic to me, a barber, right?
Yeah.
Imagine you coming into my barbershop saying, hey man, I want a one fade the beard up, trim it down. And I go, hey dude, you see that barber license on the wall? I went to barber school. I'm going to cut your hair how I'm going to cut it, because I know.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, right? But yet we do that with not only doctors. I don't want to pick on doctors, because there's a lot of good doctors.
Yeah. I think the majority of them are good. I really do. Yeah. I think the majority of doctors are good people wanting to do the best for people.
They're just regurgitating what they're taught. Yeah.
And I can't blame them, because just you're regurgitating what you were taught in barber school. Now you put your own spin on things. There might be things that you learned in barber school. You're like, yeah, I'm not going to do a fade that way.
Sure.
I'm going to do it Matt's way.
Right.
But overall, what we're taught, that's what we end up doing. And so I really don't blame doctors for the most part, and for what they're doing, because that's what they were taught.
Right.
I'll give you an example for my health. Okay. Now that we're on the subject of doctors, we might as well jump into it a little bit. We'll get our hands dirty a little bit.
Yeah.
So let me give you guys an example of what made me, for the first time in my life, question the pharmaceutical industry, the doctor industry, was with my own health. So 6-7 months ago now, every single day for 24 hours a day, I would feel nauseous. I feel like I was going to throw up. Would never throw up though. But it was my gag reflex was continuing to just keep going off 24/7. It started back in August to the point that I was doing CrossFit. I had to stop doing CrossFit because I felt like I was going to pass out anytime my heart rate went up.
Oh no.
So I went and got an EKG. I got a Holter monitor. I did a stress test. My heart was perfect. All right. So I went to the doctor the first time though. And I'm like, hey doc, like these are my symptoms. I said, I'm nauseous 24/7. I'd never throw up, but I can't work out. And because of that, I put on an additional 20 pounds in like or probably more like 15 pounds in like 6 months because I don't eat the best. And the way I was combating weight gain was working out heavily.
Right.
And when I stopped doing CrossFit, stopped muscle building, I ate the same way. The last 4 months of each year are the most stressful months for me personally with my job.
Sure.
So it just was just a bad case of whatever. I also noticed the more stress I got, the worse I felt, which was interesting. So I go to the doctor. I said, Doc, these are my symptoms. And he was like, okay, so I don't really know what's going on, but what I want to do is prescribe you a nausea medication. And my wife was with me. And
right to medicine.
My wife was like, well, we don't need a medicine. We want to know what's wrong with him.
We want the root cause.
Here's the funny thing. She was like, don't you think we should see a specialist? And he's like, yeah, that's not a bad idea. And I'm like, dude, you're the doctor.
Yeah, dude.
Like, you should be telling me that, hey, before we put you on these medications, let's send you to a specialist to see what's going on. Dog went straight for the medication.
Straight to the meds.
And so this was the first time in my life that I was like, okay, I'm not bashing doctors at all.
Sure.
But I was concerned that, like, if I would have been like, that's fine. Like, I don't want to get hooked on anti-nausea medications, which, by the way, those anti-nausea medications did not help me at all whatsoever.
Right.
So do the stress test, do the Holter monitor. He thought there was something wrong with my heart. So he's like, hey, if you're getting dizzy, I was getting dizzy when my heart rate would go up. And it makes sense. Like, I'm like, great, I'm going to have like a heart attack when I'm 28. Like, this is not good. Heart's fine, dude. It's in perfect condition. Would have never known that had I not gone to the specialist, got checked that out. Right. Heart's fine. Turns out I just had, 6 months went by. 6 months. Doctor he wanted me to go eventually he sent me to like a throat doctor, like a gastro, whatever, to check it out.
Yeah.
And I never made it around to that appointment. But then I started looking into acid reflux. All right. And he mentioned that as an idea. So the doctor did say, well, it could be acid reflux. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Like, my throat's not burning. I'm not coughing up stuff. Like, it doesn't seem like acid reflux. Well, one night I was feeling pretty good this day. I was feeling okay. And I just ate a clementine orange. And I went to eat the clementine orange, and I had one. She gave one to me. Immediately, dude, I felt like trash the moment I ate that orange. And I just watched like an hour-long like TED Talk documentary on anti-reflux. And citrus is a big cause for reflux. And so the moment I ate that orange, I went to Anna. I'm like, I have really bad acid reflux. Like, that's what I have. So since then, I've cut out all coffee. I haven't had coffee in 2 months outside of like a little espresso. I can do coffee. I can't have black coffee. So I can do like coffee espresso, but like I don't drink coffee as a daily driver anymore.
You didn't have coffee last night?
No, I didn't have coffee.
Well, I'm sorry, man. That sucks.
Yeah, it's like, so I didn't have, and I would go, like, I'd drink a pot a day. Yeah. Like, I would drink tons of coffee. Like, so I'd drink normal coffee up until 2 and then drink decaf at night.
Yeah.
And I loved coffee to the point that Ann and I almost opened a coffee shop back in 2020. I love coffee.
Yeah.
So gave up coffee. Dude, the moment I gave up coffee and the moment I stopped eating citrus, I feel 100%. Boom. Yeah. So currently the only thing I take is an acid reflux medication.
Maybe you take like Prevacid or?
I don't know what the name of it is. I take it before breakfast and I take it before dinner. And the only reason I'm taking that is with acid reflux, you need to let your throat heal. Yeah. Once you let your body heal again, you can go back to eating and drinking things that in the past caused you acid reflux.
Yeah, I just want to say too that I had major acid reflux.
Yeah. So tell me,
major acid reflux. I was on Prevacid. That's how I know about Prevacid. But with the weight loss, it's gone.
Yeah.
You know? Like I don't do it. Like that's what I've started to learn about since researching this lifestyle is that the root cause of 90% of diseases, metabolic dysfunction, is diet. You will get rid of these things. You get rid of your medications. And Peterson's not the only one. Like, there is countless countless stories that I've come across, like that people that I follow on Instagram. There's one girl that I follow on Instagram who was like in a wheelchair, man, like in a wheelchair, and went carnivore. And this girl is like doing pull-ups. Like this stuff, this is crazy, man. This is crazy stuff that should be on the news, but unfortunately, the news is bought and paid for too.
It's not.
It's not. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
It's not on there. So people watching might be like, so what's the point, right? What's the point? Well, I think the point to me is two things. Like whether or not I'm going to try the carnivore diet, whether or not I can convince Anna that's a good idea, or whether or not I think that's a good idea moving forward. That's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is that not taking the time to do your own research, you're killing yourself.
Yep.
That's the point.
Yep.
Like for our kids, we're doing the research of everything.
Right.
And if we're going to do the research, and this is kind of what was kind of like a slap to face to me when I was thinking through this, because I knew you were coming on the podcast. I'm like, all right, where do I want to go with this?
Yeah.
If I'm willing to put hours and hours of research into like what vaccine I give my kid and what food is good for a 2-year-old and but I eat whatever I want. I'm like, no, I need to be researching that for my own body,
Right.
or I might not be around for my kid.
Right.
And so this whole, I guess, health crisis, by the way, like nobody knows that I was going through all that crap. Like literally, man, like there were days I didn't leave the house because I felt like so trash. And coincidentally, this is the biggest I've ever been. This is the heaviest I've ever been. This is the most unhealthy I've ever been.
Yeah.
And so as I've gotten back, I couldn't even run. I couldn't even work out. Last night I ran a mile. I was like running at 7 miles an hour. Right? I'm like, I couldn't do that 6 months ago, and all it took was a diet change.
Yep.
And so that's where, for me, I'm like, okay, there is something valid. At least that diet is very influential to how you feel and how you mentioned, like, someone could technically heal themselves.
Yeah.
And in the past, I would just call bull crap on that.
Yeah.
And now that I've experienced some level of diet drastically affecting how I feel, and not just jumping straight into medication. I took that nausea pills like for the first week and a half. I'm like, I'm never taking this again.
Yeah.
And so that to me is what interests me about the carnivore diet lifestyle. Yeah. And even if I don't land on the carnivore diet, I think being very aware that the food that you intake can have a drastic effect on your health.
Yeah.
So when you decided to do the carnivore diet, I'm curious about this. Marriage dynamic. Because for a lot of men out there or women, you might be like, hey, this carnivore diet would be sweet, but now you have to convince your wife that it might be more expensive. I don't know if it is to buy that much meat and eggs. It might be a financial investment to do something like this. How did you walk that through with your marriage to be like, hey, honey, I think this is a good idea, even though every single medical professional that you read says this is a bad idea?
Yeah, I think I just was presenting. First of all, my wife is just my number one fan, and she is super supportive. She is my best friend, and she trusts me. And so it's not like, if I was telling her to to invest all of our money into Bitcoin, she would,
rightfully
push back.
Rightfully so.
Yeah,
sure.
Rightfully so. Yeah. But she's always open to an idea that I have or something that I want to do, and she was extremely supportive, and I just presented her with the evidence, and she saw firsthand. And I feel like I know I'm on camera, so people are gonna go back and look at this and question this, I'm sure, and I know they're gonna call me a conspiracy theorist, but I've been a conspiracy theorist for the last 3 years now. So, and I've been right on the majority of those things. But anyways, the thing really early on in the carnivore diet, after listening to Jordan Peterson, I'm starting to follow. I found the community, right? And I found these doctors, and one of these doctors, and I told you about this yesterday, was like, again, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to put it as eloquently and as well as he put it, but basically our body creates natural sunblock. So the reason why people are getting sunburned is because of seed oil consumption, and it's stopping our organs from working properly, and specifically creating the natural sunblock. And I said right there, early on, before I even started bringing this up to my wife, I said, I'm going to figure out if these guys are full of shit or not. Right there with that. And because every single softball tournament that I have, I get a bad sunburn on the back of my neck where it's painful to shower. Every single tournament. And I didn't you can ask my wife. I didn't sunburn one time last year. And I avoided seed oils like the plague. That was another, another validate where I was like,
that's crazy. So for people that didn't follow, Matt said, or you were saying I was eating like normal. I get sunburned like crazy. I stopped eating seed oil. I didn't get sunburned at all.
Yes.
Or minimally, compared to what you did.
I can, nothing, I might have got red on my arms, but specifically the back of my neck that always got sunburned,
roasted from softball.
Got roasted. I did not get sunburned last year.
And was that the moment that your wife was kind of like, okay, there's something behind this? Did she notice that at all?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I went and told her, but she's a lot more subtle than I am, and I'm like, we should be shouting this from the root. Isn't this not crazy? And she's like,
let me think on it.
I'm glad it's working for you, Matt. That was her response. I'm glad it's working for you, Matt.
Yeah.
And so, but she is super, non-confrontational and and if it's working for us, I guess she would be happy just kind of doing her own thing and doesn't have to share, unless somebody came up and asked, if you and Anna came over and was asking, she'd be glad to share it with you. She's just not going to get a megaphone like me or a camera and, tell the world, you know what I mean? So
is she doing the diet with you?
She is right now, right? Cause my goals right now, I believe in this so strongly that I wanna kind of, do it as a side gig, work with people. And so I have my mom and my dad right now, who are overweight, doing the diet right now. And then Lauren just kind of said, hey, I'll do it too. She had a bad day yesterday and she ate some bread, but she's back on it today. And but my mom and dad, from what they're telling me, they haven't, and they started Friday. I just told them, give me 100% for 2 weeks. I asked them for a month at first, and then my mom was like, well, I said, can you give me 2 weeks? And she said, I can give you 2 weeks. And my dad said, I can give you 2 weeks too. So, and then Lauren was like, I can give you 2 weeks. So anyways, I'm hitting the table again. Sorry.
I love it. No, you're good. It's passionate.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I think the thing that keeps going through my mind is cholesterol. That's the thing I can't get past. I think reading those papers, sending some information, that would be helpful. I know for a fact when I would talk to my wife about this, she'd be like, the first thing would be cholesterol.
Yeah.
I would be open to trying something like this, with additional research, and we could talk about this behind the scenes. I love the passion, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that the world changes is people they experience change with their own selves first, and then they share it. I mean, with the same thing with Jesus with us, man.
Yeah.
We experience Jesus changing our life, then we want to share it.
Right.
And so it's impossible for someone to be filled with a bunch of crap being this passionate about something that didn't actually work for them.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So the camera just died, or we ran out of storage on the memory card. So I want to wrap it up. So we're using my phone to record. So this last part looks a little bit different. That's why. I want to wrap up with this as far as the recap. Do your own research. We talked a lot about at the beginning. We talked about ice baths a little bit, which is what I wanted to get into, and we can briefly, I guess, if that camera will work. The carnivore diet, do some research on it. If you have any questions, I'm going to put Matt's socials below on the comment. So you're more than welcome. Follow Matt's Instagram. If you're in the Detroit area, man, check out First Impressions. That is a good barbershop.
Please. FirstImpressionsBarbershop.org to book an appointment. Me or I have another excellent barber there, Sandy LaRue. She's fantastic.
So I guess, Matt, how would you like to end us off? Give some advice, some final thoughts as we kind of wrap up this podcast.
Yeah. I guess the only advice, especially for people getting older, I mean, even if you're not getting older, you're out of shape, you want to get back in shape. It kind of goes, you can tie in the ice baths to it. Just do hard stuff. You know, the saying we were talking about yesterday, get comfortable being uncomfortable, man. Motivation is not real. I'm not motivated to work out every day. I'm disciplined. I don't want to work out, but I do it anyways because I know it's going to make me feel good. So just be disciplined, man. I know everybody watching this doesn't want to go to work every single day.
Right.
But why do you do it? Because you're disciplined and you have to. And the same goes for working out, man. You have to do it. And so that work out, do it, run, do resistance training, do jiu-jitsu, mixed martial arts, find something that's fun for you to do and do movements and don't become a carnivore, eat one ingredient foods.
Yeah.
Or become a carnivore.
Yeah.
One ingredient foods, man. Stop with the heavily processed standard American diet. Stop. It's killing us.
Well, I think that's a fitting end. Thank you for coming on the podcast, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for watching. If you're still here after an hour and a half, man, thank you guys all for the support. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. We're going to have more and more podcasts, a variety of different people, different entrepreneurs. Like I said, Matt is an entrepreneur. He's a business owner. He's been through a lot. I appreciate his outlook, and I appreciate your outlook on a lot of different things, man. I appreciate you. Thank you. Subscribe if you haven't. We'll see you guys in the next podcast.
See you guys.